I will call the meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, attendees and participants, and welcome to the August 10th meeting of the City of Tampa Variance Review Board. From my left, the members of the board are
Susan Long,
Una Johnson,
Brett Feldman.
Dustin Pastor.
Sam Decker.
Also in attendance this evening, we have Kamaria Pettismackle from Legal. From Development, we have Anastasia Barnes and Eileen Rosario. From Natural Resources, we have Stephen Eister. From Transportation, Jonathan Scott. There are some procedural rules that you need to follow this evening. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, please adhere to safe social distancing as set within the room. Please maintain wearing facial masks at all times. When your case number and petitioner's name is called, please approach the podium. When you approach the podium, please state your name, address, and if you have been sworn in. The petitioner and or their agent will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. All other persons or participants wishing to speak will have 3 minutes, and then the petitioner will have an additional 3 minutes for rebuttal if needed. The time periods as stated will be kept by the board. Any information such as pictures or plans that have not been previously submitted as part of your petition and you intend to present at this hearing for consideration in support of your petition must be individually presented and accepted by the board. After acceptance by the board, you must submit the item to staff for it to be entered and made part of the permanent record. The board bases its decision on competent and substantial evidence which is presented and which meets the criteria required by the city's code of ordinances. Please be sure to clearly state your hardship criteria during your presentation. A majority of the board is needed to approve your variance. A variance granted by the board will be only for what is shown on the site plan and will be in compliance with any terms and conditions stated in the approval by the board. All other city codes will need to be met. If the case is approved, your variance will expire 2 years from the date of decision. If the case is continued, it will be continued to either the next month's VRB board agenda or the next available position on an upcoming VRB board agenda. If the case is denied, you may wish to have the Variance Review Board's decision reviewed or appealed by the City Council. You must file a petition for review of the board's decision within 10 business days of the written decision. You will not be able to pull any permits until after the 10 days review or appeal period has passed. Your cooperation in ensuring that this meeting is run smoothly is greatly appreciated. Can I have a motion from one of the board members to approve last month's meeting minutes?
I move that last month's meeting minutes be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, and let us all vote to approve the meeting minutes. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay. Minutes are approved. At this time, I would like a staff member to please, I'm sorry, I always skip this. Ex parte communications. At this time, I will ask legal staff to please confirm whether there are any ex parte communications or conflicts with any board members.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Kamaria Pettismackle from the City Attorney's Office. Will the Commissioners please state whether or not they've had any ex parte communications regarding any of the applications on the agenda? None? Okay. Additionally, will the board members please state whether or not they have any conflicts of interest regarding any of the items that are listed on the agenda?
I, Una Johnson, have a conflict of interest with the VRB 2189 as the owners are personal family friends. We have that sort of relationship. So I'll excuse myself.
And Ms. Johnson, did you provide, complete the conflict of interest form?
I did.
Okay, and just for the record, I did
Sure.
provide that to the clerk for that particular application. Thank you so much. Any other board members have any conflicts of interest regarding the items on the agenda? Thank you.
All right, at this time, I would ask a staff member to please conduct the swearing in. For members of the audience, if there is a chance that you might speak tonight, please stand and be sworn.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Have a seat.
All right, Ms. Barnes, are you ready to call the first case?
Are you gonna, Ms. Barnes, are you gonna take care of the three? Okay.
So there are several cases that the applicants have requested continuances. I know two agents for VRB, each for VRB 2197 and VRB 21106 are here. And there is a email from agent for 2124. He is not feeling well, and so he chose not to come, and he requests a continuance as well.
Okay, so 2124,
Correct.
2197, you said?
Correct. The agent, Mark Bentley, is here.
And what was the last one? 106?
Correct. Cami Corbett, the agent, is
Okay.
here.
Can we make a motion to move them all three together?
And if Ms. Barnes, Kamaria Pettis-Mackle from the City Attorney's Office, can Ms. Barnes confirm that they're all requesting to continue to the same September hearing date? And if you could just put the hearing date on the record, please.
Correct. So Anastasia Barnes, applicants for, or the agents for VRB 2124, VRB 2197, and VRB 21106, request to be continued to the next hearing, September 14th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay. September 14th at 6:30 p.m. So if someone wants to make a motion. Turn your mic on, Susan.
Helps.
There you
I
go.
move that VRB 2183?
Nope.
No.
Nope,
Nope,
20,
that one came in from before.
yep,
I got it. Give me.
24, 97, and 106.
VRB 2197, VRB
Can,
21106, and I'm in the first one. VRB 2124, all be continued to September 13th or 14th?
14th.
14th at 6:30.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Long, can you just state the address associated with the VRB application, please?
Okay, you want the case number and the address?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, let me redo the whole thing.
Thank you.
I move that case number VRB 2124, located at 708 South Lois Avenue, VRB 2197, located at 2808 West Gandy Boulevard, and VRB 21106, located at 6604 South Bell Mabry Highway. Did I miss one?
Nope. you got
All
it.
be continued to September 13th,
14th.
14th, I'm bound and determined to get the wrong date. September 14th, 2001 at
6:30.
6:30 PM.
And just for a correction, it's 2021,
What did I say?
2001.
Oh, yes, 2021, there is a difference, sorry.
All right, we have a motion for continuance of those three cases. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? None? Okay, motion carries. All three cases are continued until September 14th. Ms. Barnes, is there any other business that we need to address this evening before we call the first case?
Not at this time.
Okay, well then let's roll with the first one, please.
The first case before you is VRB 2139, located at 206 South Moody Avenue, Units 1 and 2. The zoning is RM24, and the request is to reduce the rear east setback from 20 feet to 14.1 feet for Unit 1 and 2, reduce side south setback from 7 feet to 3.5 feet for Unit 2, and reduce the side north setback from 7 feet to 1.7 feet for Unit 1. to construct a additional living space for an existing accessory structures. They're connected by one wall. This is the aerial of the subject property, showing residential and commercial properties surrounding. This is the accessory structure in question. Again, another picture and the site plan provided. Again, section 2780, application of the variance power. And I'm available for any questions that you may have.
All right, is the applicant here? Come on up and state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn, please.
Good evening. My name is David Smith. I live at 206 South Moody Avenue, Unit 2, and I have been sworn in.
Perfect. All right, you have 10 minutes to make a presentation and state your hardships, please.
Okay. We're requesting the variance be, the side and rear setbacks be moved. We are looking to go straight up from those walls that you can see there where the existing structure is, to build additional living space on both sides, 1 and 2. The hardships are unique to this property due to the accessory building service door being located in the rear of the structure, making it impractical to put a staircase on the rear versus the side of the structure. We're looking to also, the existing accessory structure in place is already in place, so it would be undue hardship would result from having to demolish the accessory structure completely in order to move it back from the 15-foot setback to a 20-foot rear setback. The hardship is not a result of the actions of the applicant and is due to the original plat of the area, the way it was designed. The layout and design of the property and dimensions of the land is not a self-created hardship. When the variance is granted, no one person's health, safety, or welfare will be affected negatively. The variance is in harmony with the Tampa Comprehensive Plan and is matching similar to numerous houses on the same street and in the area, including 209 South Moody, 208 South Moody, 204 South Albany, 209 South Albany, 201 Fremont, and 203 Fremont Avenue. Allowing this variance will result in substantial justice considering the benefits of the immediate area. This is more of a technicality in the code since you can't use the accessory structure setback. And ample parking is provided for any additional cars on each property. So there's a total of 8 spots on Unit 1 and also 8 spots on Unit 2. Any other questions?
There will be a moment for questions
Okay.
after your presentation, and if there's anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on this presentation, we'll have an opportunity for questions then.
Okay.
But for now, you have roughly 7 minutes if you have any further information you want to submit to us. If there's not, you can stop and then we'll have those opportunities for questions. That's up to you.
Okay. The only other thing I have is the variance that was granted for 208 South Moody, going down to 0 feet for their side setback, and I printed out a copy of that.
If you have a copy of it and you want to submit it, you can give that to staff and they will distribute it and then put it into the record.
Okay.
Does that complete your presentation this evening?
Well,
Yes.
Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the legal department, is that the hardship that you're stating for both units?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one application for both units since they're attached.
Understood. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? All right, seeing none, then I will open it up for board questions now. I have one quick question. You talked about some other applications or some other addresses that were nearby that also had similar setbacks. Do you happen to have any photographs of those?
You can actually see 208 South Moody in the previous picture. There you go. So you can
Okay.
see that stairwell going down into their 7-foot side setback, and you can see it's pretty much our garages are all lined up, almost inch for inch. So that would be the best example I could give, and that we're almost looking to do that exact same thing, except with less side setback than they're asking for, or they were approved for.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And just a quick question, are these separate additional units on top of the garage? Are they connected to the front as well?
There'll be an adjoined wall, but otherwise they're separate.
They're
It'll
still
be
just two, not four?
not four, correct. Uh-huh.
All right, any other board questions? No? All right, well, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal if there's anything that was asked that you need to address.
Okay. I can't think of anything else. We uploaded the plans and, yeah, I can't think of anything. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, then, I will close the public hearing and open it up for a motion and/or board discussion.
I just feel this is a tough one. It's a very dense alley there already. Adding more density and, more construction to this area seems with such small setbacks, even though they exist in other places. Is that really the character that we want to promote in an already densified area? I'm not sure.
Okay, does anyone else have any thoughts on that subject?
I mean, I think that you make an interesting point about the density. My thought was kind of the opposite in that, like, it seems to contribute to the character of the, or I guess it seems to continue with the character of the neighborhood, to allow, an additional, like a second story. We can see in the picture here that that's similar to the property that's next door, and even the one that's next door to that. I don't really have a problem with this because, he's not tearing down the garage and like backing it up to the street even further. He seems to just be going up. And so, roughly the setbacks will remain the same, save for the staircase, which seems like, I haven't seen any alternative, and I can't think of an alternative that would allow, the staircases not to, I guess, encroach further into the setbacks.
Okay. Well, given those kind of railing viewpoints, does anyone want to make a motion?
I can make a motion. So I move that the variance request for case VRB 21-39 for property located at 206 South Moody Avenue, Units 1 and 2, be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction of the rear east setback from 20 feet to 14.1 feet for both Unit 1 and 2, a reduction in the side south setback from 7 feet to 3.5 feet for Unit 2, a reduction in the side north setback from 7 feet to 1.75 feet for Unit 1, based on the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in Section 27-80 of the City Code, specifically that the hardship does not result in the actions of the applicants. As the applicant pointed out, the property, he acquired the property after it was already constructed and platted, with the property, the garage already encroaching into the rear setback. And the variance, if granted, will not substantially interfere or injure the health, safety, and welfare of others who would be affected by the variance, because the reduction into the side setbacks is for the construction of a staircase to lead up to the proposed second story.
I'll
Right.
second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay? All right. 4-1, your motion is approved. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Barnes, when you're ready for the next case, fire away.
VRB, Anastasia Barnes, VRB 2142 is for 2102 West Cluster Avenue. The zoning is RS50, and the request is to reduce the side yard setback from 7 feet to 5 feet for an existing addition for a single-family residence. There is a current code case on the property, COD 20965. This is the aerial and surrounding zoning, mostly residential in nature. These are some pictures the applicant provided of the addition, as well as elevations, and the site plan showing the proposed reduced setback. Section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you may have.
Okay, is the applicant here? Looks like some folks are standing there. Come on up, state your name, your address, and please confirm that you've been sworn. And
They
if
have
both
not-
of you gonna
They have
speak-
not been sworn, so Madam Clerk's going to swear them in.
Okay, well then we will swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, so once again, state your name, your address, and then we've seen you be sworn, but just confirm that you've been
Yeah.
sworn.
Good afternoon. My name is Raul Alvo, and I represent Dagoberto Cruz, the owner. And the reason we're here is because we like to request a variant, and the construction has already ceased. And we like to request a setback from 7 feet to 5 feet. And I'd like to point something. One of the reasons he built this part of the house is because it's being used for special care of his 7-year-old son, that they have disorders, mental disorders and disability, and he needs a special care, and we're using this part of the house for that purpose. I don't think the request will affect anybody, especially the closest neighbor, and I would like to be considerate with something that we really need.
Okay, so you've raised some issues that I appreciate and that we can understand regarding personal care. The hardships that we need to consider cannot be personal in nature. They cannot involve the people living on the property per se, or specifics related to them, because the hardships are going to run with the land. So what we're here to listen for, and what you need to explain to us, is the hardships that are specific to the property themselves. Why does the setback need to change? Because of some condition of the property, because of some condition of the existing structures. I should also point out that the hardships cannot be financial in nature. So the fact that something is built and may need to be removed is not something for our consideration or something that we can rely upon. So it would help us if you could identify some aspects of the property that we could review for a hardship to help you this evening.
Okay, well, as you can see in the pictures to the right, and I wanted to say that that was built before. Why my customer did, it was enclosure, was something that was existing before. And unfortunately, before it was like a carport, which is not required the living space setbacks. So when he changed to something for living space, that changed the law or the code from, a small setback to we need bigger setback for. And everything was built with a code, and I think it's not going to affect the neighbor right close to the property. As you can see, we have 5 feet from the fence to the wall.
Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. Ms. Barnes, can you just confirm for the board that the addition that was built, was it built without permits?
That is correct. So there is a current code case 20, COD 20965, construction without proper permits. I am unaware about if it was open prior or not. I don't know, but I just know it was cited for construction without proper permits.
Okay. So,
Yes,
go ahead, continue your
unfortunately,
presentation.
unfortunately, it was a lack of knowledge of my customer. That's why he's hiring me right now. I'm a certified general contractor, and that's when I help him with the drawings and everything. So in order so we can put everything to code, I have some engineers that they will definitely check everything and will do affidavits approving. Unfortunately, the inspection that we didn't do before. That's why he's hiring me for this job. Of course, if you grant me the variant, I'll be able to get the permit and proceed, with all the requirements we need for approve this construction that is already built.
Okay. Do you have anything else to present to us this evening?
No, sir.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and see if anyone in the audience wishes to speak about this application. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for board questions. If the board has any questions for the applicant or for staff, now's your chance.
I have a question. So, notwithstanding the fact that a portion of the property has already been constructed, or a portion of, and the addition has already been constructed, would it be possible, based on the layout of the property, to, construct the additional rooms like behind the property? It looks like there's, quite a bit of room in the backyard. Is that possible?
Probably, but like I say, it was a kind of lack of knowledge of him, and he say, well, it will be a lot easy and less costly to enclose what he already has.
Right.
And that's the reason he didn't build in the back.
Okay, I see. Okay. Thanks.
How long has this been constructed?
Well, I think we have been, since we applied for this, about a year, not long to go.
But how long is that how long this has been constructed, or since the code violation?
More or less, a year and 3 or 4 months, something like that.
Were you involved in the construction?
No, sir.
You
not
came
at all.
in to help with the variance?
Not at all. Helping with the variance, and if you grant me the variance, so I will help with all the permits and whatever we need
Okay.
to meet the requirements for code.
Can you show us, I see some drawings here. Could you show us where on these drawings the property is abutting and going over, at which, just point on those drawings to
Okay, it's gonna be on the left side of this property.
Okay, so we're looking at some elevations now. And
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
this is a front.
there you,
Okay,
there you go. Okay, so let's look at that. Just point to the section that overlaps.
You can use that pointer and then, oh, I thought I had, there we go. No, it's still not working.
Oh, I see a little eraser looking
There we
thing.
go.
There
So
you go.
could-
right.
Well, that's a big circle.
Well,
She's helping.
I'm,
She's
no,
helping.
no, I'm not actually. No, I'm not. So.
There you go, good job.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, as you can see here, the driveway is here.
Okay.
And this is the front,
There
this is
you
the
go,
front of
there's
the
the
house.
driveway, good.
And this is the side,
Okay, is that the side that's being impacted?
yes.
Okay, so what you're doing, the 2 feet, it lines up with the driveway because that used to be a carport, you said.
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, and so the existing carport, the corners of the existing carport sat in the same location as the current structure now. It's just that the applicant has enclosed it.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
I'm sorry, just, can you, do you have any Kamaria Pettis-Mackle from the City Attorney's Office, is there any documentation, other than the completed site plan of the work that was already completed, of where the carport, went?
Don't we have an existing drawings on the plans? We should have existing in the new one. It probably shows.
Well, if we look at the property appraiser's information that's there, does that tell us if there was a carport there or not?
Probably.
Okay, I mean, additionally, we can accept testimony if that's what,
Yeah, I understand, I understand.
okay. All right, and so what we're looking at here, you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
We're looking at a picture, that was the structure with the existing covered carport, and that carport got closed in, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the rest of the structure, was it still in that same location?
It should be, yeah.
Okay, so is it true then that this extension up into the carport and the enclosure of the carport maintains the existing wall in the same location as it is down below there, right?
It should,
It says
yeah.
existing kitchen down?
Yeah, oh, yes. Yes, the existing
Slide-
house, it will stay the
Slide back
same.
over, if you would, please, to the gray picture to the right.
Ms. Barnes, can you just verify that on the setbacks that are on the, on this image that's before the board right now?
Annie Barnes, or Anastasia Barnes. So I have zoomed in on part of the
Oh, I see.
site
I see.
plan
I see.
and building permits.
I
So this was the existing, with the carport at 12 feet from the property line, or from the existing residence to the east.
I see.
And
I was
then the storage
misinterpreting the
of
prior
4 feet.
picture.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so you're, all right, that's not helpful. Your zoom in on this picture was helpful, Ms. Barnes, thank you. Okay, so we have an existing covered carport that is there, but that did not comport with the prior setback issue. It's the enclosure of that carport that has triggered this issue. Okay. All right, I don't have any further questions. All right, you have 3 minutes if there's anything you want to address in response to the questions we've raised or any of the issues that we've raised.
No, sir.
No? Okay, well, with that then, I will open it up for motion or board discussion. Close the public hearing and open it up for motion or board discussion.
I, Una Johnson, will go for a motion approval without conditions. Move the variance request for case VRB 2142 for the property located at 2102 West Cluster Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction of the side yard setback from 7 to 5 feet based on the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record, and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 2780 of the city code, specifically that since the garage was already enclosed when you had purchased the property, you are bringing it to code in a condition that is how we see it now, but just upgraded. Second?
I'll second.
So I'm sorry, as I understood the testimony, the applicant enclosed the garage, and enclosed the carport, I'm sorry. Did I misunderstand that?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. Do you want to discuss the motion? You're attempting to
Yes.
discuss? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm discussing the motion.
Okay.
Perhaps I misunderstood. I understood that the applicant, there was an existing carport and the applicant enclosed that carport. Is that not your understanding?
Oh, I thought at the beginning he stated it was like that.
Well, I think,
Unless-
yeah, I understood he was saying that it was an existing carport, that the carport, and that's why we looked at the pictures and saw that the carport was there, but that the applicant then enclosed that carport. So if you're moving to
I see.
approve,
I see.
and you want to, and you find a hardship that's not, and again, if anyone else correct me if I'm mistaken in my
That is the
understanding.
testimony we heard. However, the plans we saw, the existing and the new, the walls and the corners don't appear to match, because in the existing, the corners jog like this, and in the new, they're squared. So I'm not convinced that it was an existing structure that was maintained. It may have been built in the same footprint, but traditionally, carports don't have the same type of roof as a home, and so there's not a lot of information here, but either way, the plans don't seem to match up as an exact footprint replacement, in my opinion. However, the testimony we heard is that it was a carport that was enclosed.
Okay. So I guess the question is to you as to whether you want to
Well,
alter your motion or proceed on your motion.
no, well, there's already been a second on the motion, so the board needs to vote on the motion.
Okay. All right, well, all those in favor of the motion as stated, say aye. All those opposed, say
Aye.
nay.
So that-
Okay.
Matt can do it again.
Motion fails, let's try again. It was a good try. I was,
Well, I didn't quite understand that.
I was confused originally as well, as you
carport
saw
was
by
there,
my asking for the
And he enclosed it.
To the extent that was my fault, apologies, because I misunderstood that at the beginning too. Okay, so let's.
Want to do it again?
Do we want to try a motion now? Do you want to try one, or?
Or you want to let somebody else do it? Your call.
Somebody else could do it.
Okay, I'll do
I feel
it.
like you've got a good handle on it. I'm trying to
I'll
think
do
through
it.
my right now.
Here. No, I got one. I have another one. Okay. I move that the variance request for VRB 2142 for the property located at 2102 West Cluster Avenue be granted as depicted on the site
Commissioner
plan
Long,
presented at the
I'm
public
sorry,
hearing.
I'm sorry, excuse Commissioner Long, Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. We've already had a motion to approve the variance.
Yeah.
That motion,
But that motion was based on incorrect facts.
okay, so,
So
Right.
if Ms. Long wishes to make a different motion upon different facts,
that's correct. if that's what you're doing, I thought you were
Yep,
just,
no,
okay.
it's not gonna be the exact same motion. I mean, the beginning is, because they all the same. Okay, where was I? Let me just start over.
Sure.
Okay. I move that the variance request for VRB 2142 for the property located at 2102 West Cluster Avenue be granted as depicted in the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the side yard setback from 7 feet to 5 feet, section 27-156, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public housing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27 of the city code, specifically that there was an existing covered but not enclosed carport, and the applicant enclosed the carport, causing the, what do I want to say? The need for the variance. The location of the carport has not been changed. Okay?
Okay. We have a motion to approve by Ms. Long. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Seconded by Ms. Johnson. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Oh,
Nay.
Okay. So that motion, it's denied because.
Okay. All right.
okay.
All right. Your motion has, your application has been denied. You have the ability to appeal to City Council, and you can do that within 10 days of the issuance of the denial.
Okay.
Okay. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to city staff after the hearing.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Barnes, should we swear these folks in first? It is my assumption that all these folks are here for VRB 2157, and anyone has not been sworn. Anyone who has not been sworn, now is a good time to get sworn in. If there's a chance, even minute, that you might be speaking this evening or providing testimony, please stand and be sworn now. Okay?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You have a seat.
Good evening, Anastasia Barnes. The next case before you is VRB 2157 regarding 3906 West Swan Avenue. The zoning is RS60. And the request is to reduce the side west yard setback from 5 feet to 2 feet and reduce the rear yard setback from 11 feet to 7 feet in accordance with section 27290.5 to construct a 21-foot tall pool screen enclosure. This is the aerial of the subject property. Surrounding zoning is residential, generally residential in nature. These are photographs that the applicant provided of the proposed area of work where the existing pool is. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. Section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you might have.
Would the applicant come on up and state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn this evening?
Hi, good evening. My name is Steve Rothwell. I'm the owner occupier of 3906 West Swan Avenue, Tampa. And yes, I have been sworn in.
Great. You have 10 minutes to present your case.
Thank you very much. So as I said, my name is Steve Rothwell. I moved over here about 7 years ago with my company, and I'm actually from England, and one of the most the priorities I asked for was to have a pool within our house to obviously enjoy the Tampa weather. We did actually purchase that house, and that's an established pool that was actually existing. However, one of the challenges that we've now learned, obviously, is that this did not actually allow or consider the building of a pool cage. So what we're looking to do is apply for a setback both on the west side and on the rear to accommodate a new pool enclosure. As you can see from the photos, we live in a neighborhood that obviously lots of people have those pools, and one of the challenges we do, and part of the hardships that we have, and there's a number of them, is that we do have a challenge with obviously some of the mosquitoes, and that really does reduce the opportunity to enjoy the great weather and the pool itself. Also, many of the neighborhood have actually got the screen enclosures, so it's really consistent with what's actually happening with the existing neighbors. And two of our adjacent neighbors have pool cages. One, as you can see from one of the photos, is a similar nature in terms of a double story, and another one is a single story. As I said, from a hardship point of view, we thoroughly do enjoy the pool, my wife and I. But obviously, if you think about what's happened over the last 12 or 18 months, utilizing that space has been even more critical and obviously vital from both from a health and a mental point of view. But that really has been reduced because of some of the challenges with the mosquitoes. And in addition, obviously, if you think about, there is a lot of greenery, which is fantastic in the area. We also have challenges, obviously, with maintaining that pool because, obviously, a lot of leaf drops, and we're seeing that the pool cage will also support and help in that. So I guess that's really the kind of the key things I'd like to kind of state at this point.
Okay, well then I'll confirm. Does this conclude your presentation this evening?
I think so, yes.
All right. I will ask, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? Seeing none, I will open it up for board questions to the applicant or staff. Mr. Pastor.
Is there a site plan that we can look at, please?
Yes, there should be.
There it is. Okay, so are you proposing to expand the pavers to match that footprint of the screen there?
Yes, we will be.
Okay.
In fact, actually, it's already got the pavers. Actually, they already exist there. On the left-hand side, where the pool area is, on the right-hand side, there is actually some grass, and we're going to extend the paving to that area as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's just a practical question because I saw how odd-shaped the deck was.
Yes, yeah. If I built the pool, I would have put the pool a little more central, but
I assume, do you know if you've checked yet whether or not you're still going to meet the green space requirement on your property?
the green space?
Yeah, there's a minimum required green space on a piece of property, and I see you've got a big driveway, and if you have that big deck, it looks like you probably still have enough, but you might want to check that before you proceed with the deck. I mean, the city won't let you overbuild that anyway, so they would catch that in the building department.
In terms of the greenie, actually on the left-hand side, that below the pool area, that's all greenery. On the right-hand side of the house, that's all greenery. Mm-hmm. And then there's a large greenery area in front of you can't tell if there's a garage, but there's a huge green lawn area there.
Okay, just something to be aware of if you go through permitting.
Okay, thank you.
You put it in your application, but just so that we have it on the record, the next door neighbor to your, if you're looking at this site plan to the left, is the sister of the person who you purchased the house from and who installed the pool. So
correct.
Okay. Okay.
And we have spoken to them, and we reached out to them, and they said they were very supportive and said, you know, we support it. We recognize the challenges. You know, it's an issue that we all face. They don't have a pool, so they don't see it as big an issue.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? No? All right, you have 3 minutes if you have anything further that you want to address.
I don't. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, then I will close the public hearing and open up for board motion or discussion if necessary. Mr. Pastor.
I move that variance request for case VRB 2157 for the property located at 3906 West Swan Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for reduction in the side yard setback from 5 feet to 2 feet on the west and a reduction in the rear yard setback from 11 feet to 7 feet for the construction of a pool enclosure based upon the applicant presenting competent substantial evidence in the record at this public hearing of a necessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 2780 of the city code. Specifically that this pool was existing when they purchased the property. There's some practical issues with leaves and mosquitoes. They'd like to enclose that. Several of the immediate neighbors have similarly sized enclosures, and this was not created by the applicant.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
All right. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. Ms. Barnes, 2161, please.
Anastasia Barnes. The next case before you is VRB 2161, located at 4859 West Prescott Street. The applicant and agent is Alexander Hartwell. The request is to allow the RV to be parked in the front yard. And, this section of the code is 27283.11A5, B.1 and 4. This is an aerial of the subject property with residential and commercial surrounding zoning uses. Here's a picture of the subject site with the RV in question and some additional photos, as well as a site plan. Section 2780, the application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you might have.
Ms. Barnes, I do have a question for you. Is there a definition of the term RV in the code?
Yes, so I don't have it right in front of me. I can look in a minute, but it does fall this.
A trailer fits
Correct.
within the definition?
Yes, it does fit within the definition, and that was my initial thought as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, is the applicant here? All right, come on up. You have 10 minutes. Why don't you state your name, your address, and please confirm that you've been sworn.
Good evening. Alex Chapman. I live at 4859 West Prescott, and I have been sworn in.
Great. You have 10 minutes to explain to us your hardships.
Just for record, it's Chapman, not Hartwell. I don't know if that matters to anybody. The hardship for us is that we live in a townhome, and I had prematurely, I guess, built a brick paver pad on the side of my home, and because of the code, we're not able to bring the trailer down the side of the home or park the RV trailer in the back of the home due to it being a townhome. I know there was one question in the application whether or not there was a homeowners association. This townhome community does not have a homeowners association to my knowledge. So there is no annual fee, no monthly fee, and no homeowners association upkeep. Therefore, we didn't have to get approval from a homeowners association prior to building the brick paver pad. Look at my notes real quick. And yes, that is the totality of our hardship, is that there's no ingress or egress of the trailer to the side of the home or the rear of the home to park it otherwise. And pending any further questions, I'll yield my time back to the council.
Okay. So if that completes your presentation?
Yes, sir.
All right, I will ask if there are anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application, for or against? All right, come on up. If you could step aside, sir.
Of course.
State your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn, please.
Evening, my name is James Thornton. I live at 4857 West Prescott Street, and I have been sworn.
Thank you. All right, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Myself and my wife are the abutting neighbors, and we are absolutely opposed to this variance, as are many closely located neighbors in the immediate area. Here are the reasons why. First of all, in our opinion, from living right next door, what has been presented in the written application as a recreational trailer by the applicant is not correct. It is a work trailer. A U-Haul type hitch trailer that is used to store and carry tools, etc. It does not appear to be any kind of recreational trailer as stated in the application. It's clear to us why the applicant presented it in this way. In his application, that's because the code only allows vehicles or crafts to be parked in the front yard. This is not a vehicle, it's not a recreational vehicle. It does not have an engine, it does not have passenger carrying ability, no steering wheel, etc. It was written up by the applicant to morph it in his effort to try and make it look like it met the intent of the code, but it does not. In regards to criteria number 1, hardship or practical difficulty, there is none. The driveway and home and their placement cited in the exact same as all others in the abutting and immediate area. These are tightly fitted homes. All share the same situational aspects, and there is no room to move a large structure to the rear of a lot, nor is there a design or intent of this development. In regards to criteria number 3, criteria number 2. The variance is completely self-created, and the applicant knew that is permissible and allowable on the property, knew that he was buying, built an additional pad, now seeks the board to fix his self-created problems. In regards to criteria number 3, the trailer is unsightly. It imposes on our property and is not in conformance with the purposes of a driveway storing vehicles. In regard to criteria number 4, the variance is not in harmony with the code, nor meets the intent of the code. As I stated, it is not a vehicle or craft. I do want to submit a petition. That's too big. Can't see it.
You can raise that up.
Just push it up.
No. There's a.
That's okay. Let's see here. Signed by 10 of the 14 residents of the Rattlesnake Point Town
Great.
Home Development who feel the same way and ask the board not to approve this unsightly and ill-fitting use of our neighborhood. But also submit information from 2 real estate agents that support this opposition. The greater long-term concern is if this is approved, how many more will we see? How many other types of bigger and larger similar uses will we see? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this petition this evening? All right. Seeing none, I will open it up for board questions for the applicant or staff or anyone else in the audience. Does anyone have any questions?
Does the trailer fit into the garage? It looks like it would fit into the garage.
Yes, ma'am, it does fit in the garage. I do have 3 vehicles in there, as I have 3 licensed drivers and 1 pending licensed driver
Okay.
in my household.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for staff. Can you tell us what I know we talked about this already, but can you remind us what the definition of a recreational vehicle is?
Sure. So Anastasia Barnes. So I did confirm with the zoning administrator that the RV, this would fit the definition of a recreational vehicle. Recreational vehicle and equipment is vehicle or equipment designed and built for recreational purposes such as camping, boating, and off-roading sports. Recreational vehicles and equipment include but are not limited to truck campers, golf carts, dirt bikes, pleasure craft, motorhomes, travel trailers, and converted buses.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like it meets that definition, though.
That was the zoning administrator's decision.
Yeah, they probably didn't have all the information we just got.
I believe he did.
Okay.
Am I allowed to rebut that, sir?
You will absolutely have a chance to talk about that in a moment. So what is a travel trailer? Because I heard that in there. Is that one of the?
For traveling?
Is there a definition, I should say? Is there a definition in the code of any of those components?
I'm looking for a travel trailer. Give me one second.
'Cause
There's
as
no
Mr. Past-
definition for travel
Okay.
trailer. Let's see if the trailers one. Nope. There's neither a definition for trailer or travel trailer.
I see in our packet we have 2780. I don't see 27283. I see a reference to it, but I don't see the actual code section in our.
That's
Oh,
a-
it's the reference code section up there. Vehicle may only be parked. Okay. All right, any other questions from the board for staff or for the applicant or for anyone in the audience?
I have a quick question. Is that trailer used for work or strictly for recreation?
It is used for recreation, ma'am. When it is not in use, it is used as storage.
When it's not in use, what?
It is used as storage. It just sits
Okay.
in its spot, and I put unused things in it. So you could call that work, but.
Okay, any other questions? All right, you have 3 minutes to rebut or address any other issues that we raised or that were raised by others.
I will yield the time back, sir.
All right, well, in that case, I will close the public hearing and open it up for a motion or board discussion. Does anyone have a motion? Okay. Mr. Pastor?
Okay. I move that the variance request for case VRB 2161 for the property located at 4859 West Prescott Street for the allowance of an RV to be parked in the front yard be denied due to the failure of the petitioner to meet its burden of proof to provide competent substantial evidence of the record of this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria is set forth in section 2780 of the city code. Specifically that I did not hear any hardship related to the unique and singular condition of this property. The ability to have a recreational vehicle is not a right, deemed upon the property, and if it doesn't fit, sometimes it doesn't fit, same as a pool or anything else. So I didn't hear anything that that gave me a hardship on this property for this use.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second by Ms. Long. All right, all those in favor of the motion? Say aye. All those opposed? Aye. Passes. Your application is denied 4-1.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Moving on. 2170. We ready for 2170, or do we need to swear in first?
No, 2170 is not being heard. The next case is
Oh,
83.
apologies, I'm sorry. And 2183 is continued, so 2183 is continued, got it. Okay, 2183.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anastasia Barnes, the next case before you is VRB 2183. The address is 2901 West Swan Avenue. The applicant and agent is Adam Bates. The request is to reduce required setback from 5 feet to 0 feet for 3 freestanding signs. This is part of a new signage package for the hospital, and specifically it's section 27289.3B5D. Here is a aerial of the subject property and surrounding zoning, largely commercial in nature, with mixed in with some residential.
Hold, please.
Oh, so sorry.
I didn't realize this was for a hospital, so I probably should accuse myself.
This is for, I'm trying to see, I'm sorry. This is for
South Tampa.
Currently known as Memorial Hospital of Tampa.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so just for eye level. So you're gonna, what, can you please state on the, oh, I'm sorry, Kamaria Pettismacker from the City Attorney's Office. Can you please state, on the record, and I'll give you the form to fill
Yes.
out, but why you're going to recuse yourself?
I work for another hospital in the same city.
Okay. And just for the record, I'm going to hand you the Form 8B that you can complete.
Perfect, thank you. And apologies for not catching that sooner.
All right, Ms. Barnes, back on.
Alrighty, so this is one of the proposed signs as part of that sign package and as part of this application. This is a site plan provided showing some of the existing signs and the proposed sign location, as well as some a close-up site plan showing the specific 3 signs in question. Section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you might have.
All right, thank you very much. Applicant, come on up, state your name, your address, and please confirm that you've been sworn.
My name is Adam Bates, 1224 North 2nd Street in Nashville, Tennessee, and I have been sworn in.
Great. You have 10 minutes to present to us your hardship.
Okay, just want to start. I want to describe the variance a little bit more. We're seeking the variance to locate newly constructed ground-mounted signage within the 5-foot property line setback due to established trees and the proximity of a building currently existing along West de Leon Street that is part of the hospital facility. It would be impossible to relocate signs of similar size and quality that currently exist beyond the 5-foot setback required by the code. Memorial Hospital of Tampa has requested that their existing signs be updated to reflect the new brand standard by their parent company, HCA. To do so, ground-mounted signs would need to be demolished and rebuilt. Upon inspecting the existing signs, it was discovered that all of the ground-mounted building signs were either located outside of the facility's current property line or within the 5-foot required setback. Several of the signs can and will be demolished, and the new signs will be built within compliance of the city code, whereas 3 signs located upon West de Leon Street cannot be located in compliance with the code. Our specific hardship, again, is due to the location of existing established trees and their root canopies, as well as the proximity of a building on the current property. 3 of these signs could not be relocated beyond the 5-foot setback. I do just want to add that the current trees, although are not exceeding the 20-inch diameter for preserved trees, they are aesthetically pleasing and provide substantial shade to an otherwise open parking lot. And that's all I have for now.
Okay. Well, if that concludes your presentation, I will invite any members of the public wishing to speak on this application. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak? Seeing none, does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. So the 3 signs that you're going to demolish and rebuild, you're using the same, like, I don't know, like base, and you're just putting your new signage on them?
As part of the facility's new brand standard, and again, under direction of the parent company, HCA, they are seeking to unify their existing campuses across much of the Southeast and throughout the United States with a unified look. The design of the sign has been orchestrated by that company, and we're seeking to carry it out. The signs are of similar size to the existing sign, and then would also comply with lighting or other permit requirements as set forth to approve a sign through the permitting process.
So just to clarify, will the base be exactly like, like the little concrete that the sign actually sits on?
It would not use the existing, no. We would fully demolish and then reinstall a new base, again, of similar size.
Okay.
The specific hardship for 2 of the locations would be that we believe that that base would cause substantial conflict with the existing trees and possibly damage or kill them. There is some area on the property line, but within the 5-foot required setback that we believe would be far enough away from the root canopy, or as far as possible as we could get without disturbing the trees.
Okay, and so you mentioned a couple times the property line. So are these located within the property that
The
that
trees
HCA
are
owns?
located within the property. The current sign does not exist within the property line.
So it's outside of the property line?
It is currently outside of the property line, correct?
And are we able to approve a sign that's not located on the property?
We are
They're
we
not-
are requesting to demolish the sign that is currently not in compliance and rebuild a new sign within
Within-
hospital property,
see.
but
Okay.
within the required 5-foot setback.
I
We're
see.
requesting the setback reduced from 5 feet to 0 feet in this
Okay.
instance.
So it'll be right on the property line?
Yes.
As will the 2 others that you're demolishing and total and fully replacing in their
Yes.
exact locations?
Yes.
Okay.
And just to be very clear, one of the signs we believe does exist on the property up against the property line. Moving it farther back onto the property for the 5-foot setback would for sure compromise one of the trees. So one of the signs, it would be in the exact same location, but would have a new footing, new foundation.
Okay. And so aside from saving the trees, is there any sort of visibility consideration? I mean,
So, yes. Let me find one more additional. We took into account the visibility requirements of traffic code, and I do have a diagram here somewhere that shows the view triangles at one being the entrance to one of the campus areaways. This is one of the signs you can see here. The current sign exists beyond the property line. The proposed location would be within the 5-foot setback. And these are our calculated view triangles using the city's equations. One of the other signs exists currently at a 4-way stop. You can see here the current sign exists outside of the property line but is not within the view triangle at the 4-way stop. The proposed location would be actually across the sidewalk within that 5-foot setback. This one in particular is due to an existing building on the site that was constructed prior to this variance request. Additionally, there could be complications with visibility if that sign were to be moved farther away from the street or closer to the building and possibly impact an existing footing. And again, the third sign, this is the location that we believe is currently on the property, but moving it farther to the lower edge of this diagram would, we believe, severely impact the existing tree by putting a footing in the ground there.
okay. All right, sounds good to me, thanks.
All right, any other further questions? Okay, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal, should you choose to use it.
I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, I will close the public hearing and then open it up for a motion from the board, please.
I can make a motion.
All right, Ms. Decker, fire away.
I move that the variance request for case VRB 21-83 for property located at 2901 West Swan Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction of the required setback from 5 feet to 0 feet for 3 freestanding signs based on the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record, and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that the variance will not interfere with the health, safety, or welfare of others, and would provide the best and adequate view corridors to the signage, which is pretty important for a hospital that's trying to direct people to, various areas of the hospital. Additionally, the variance is in harmony with and serves general to intent and purpose of this chapter and the adopted Tampa Comprehensive Plan, as 2 of the signs are being located in their proposed location in order to save trees, which the city of Tampa loves.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Motion by Ms. Decker, second by Ms. Long. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. All right. Yeah, trade out. There you go. Ms. Barnes, whenever you're ready.
Anastasia Barnes, the next case before you is VRB 2189. The property owner and applicant are Eric and Megan Ochotorina.
Very good.
The property address is 3609 West San Pedro Street, and the zoning is RS50. The request is to reduce the rear yard setback from 8 feet to 3 feet and reduce the east side yard setback from 5 feet to 3 feet to construct a screen enclosure 18 feet 6 inches in height in accordance with section 27290.5. This is the subject property with surrounding zoning, residential in nature. Here are some photos of the existing pool and location of the screen, or proposed location of a screen enclosure facing back towards the house. This is the survey provided and site plan, along with a close-up site plan showing the proposed pool or screen location. Section 2780, application of the variance power again, and staff is available for any questions you might have.
All right. Applicant, come on forward. State your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Ochotorina. I'm the homeowner, along with my wife Megan, at 3609 West San Pedro Street, and I have not been sworn.
Great.
Although I did stand downstairs. when
No,
y'all
no,
did
that's
earlier,
okay. It's
so.
probably time we do another swearing
All right.
in because we're cycling people through. So once again, if there's a chance that you might be speaking this evening, please stand and be sworn now.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do?
Thank
Yes.
you. You may have a seat.
All right. Now you can confirm you've been sworn.
I have been sworn, sir.
Terrific. You
right.
have 10 minutes to present your hardships.
Thank you very much. Good evening again, everybody. As you heard, our request is to reduce the setback on both the north and the east sides of our property. As you may have seen from the photographs that were put up, on the north side of our property, there is a garage there that kind of comes up against the fence already as it is anyway. We know the owner of that property. He has no problem with the enclosure. And then to the east side of our property are our friends. You can see that they have built a gazebo, or I don't know what you would call that structure there, and that comes right up against the property line as well. The reason why there's a hardship here for us is we've lived in that house for approximately 9 years. The pool already existed when we bought it. We've loved having the pool. Since the time we bought the house, we've had 2 kids. We have now, an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. At the time that we filed for this variance, they were 7 and 5, so they both had a birthday in the past month. At the time that we bought the house, there was no enclosure, but the pool was already there. If we were to put in an enclosure now within the current guidelines, the enclosure would essentially run right through the middle of the pool. Maybe not the middle, but it would run through quite a bit of the pool, so it would be an impossibility, and that was not our choice. We've lived there for, as I said, 9 years and haven't really had the need, in our view, to put an enclosure, although one would be nice, until the past year or so. You can't see from this picture, but the gentleman, also named Eric, who lives behind us, so to the north, has a pretty, you can see it there, has a pretty overgrown, on purpose, backyard. He likes the privacy. He says he thinks it helps protect him from hurricanes, et cetera, but he has lots of critters that live in his backyard, and over the years, we get the occasional critter, a snake in the pool here and there, rats come under the fence, the occasional raccoon or possum. But in the past year, at a time when, frankly, we'd want to use the pool all the time, the raccoon population coming from his backyard has increased dramatically. I shouldn't say from his backyard. I know they go to his backyard a lot. And some of you may be aware, I don't know if this has come up at these hearings before, but raccoons like to go in pools. And as you can see, we have a little sun shelf in the shallow end of the pool, which was great when the kids were babies. The raccoons use that to play and clean off and defecate. We have some videos of that from our outdoor cameras. But what I found out, and I didn't know this until this past summer, is that the defecation from the raccoons, in addition to being obviously gross, it requires a lot of effort and time to clean it up, and you can't get back in the pool for 2 days after they do it. And at one point over the summer, they were doing it every single night. So we had a couple months over the summer where we couldn't use the pool at all. So that created, in my view, a difficulty for our family in terms of being able to use or enjoy our backyard. I did hear from someone earlier tonight, VRB 2157, who discussed mosquitoes. I also have some issues with mosquitoes, but that's not something that rose to the level of us wanting to put a screen enclosure in. But this issue with the raccoons has become a major issue. The raccoons defecating in the pool is something that the CDC says can cause significant neurological injury, specifically in children. And obviously we have small kids, and all of our neighbors have small kids who want to use the pool. So that's something we'd like to deal with and address, and a big way of doing that would be this enclosure. We have hired trappers. They have just this past summer caught 7 raccoons, 2 possums, a number of feral cats, and the raccoons still come. I do want to show you a video that one of the cameras caught from the side yard, and I have other pictures too, but I'll just start with this one. Let's see, let me see if I saw you do this earlier. Dot cam, there we go. See if I can do this. Is that visible?
Yeah. There you go.
Can y'all see it?
Yep.
So as you can see on that video, there are, just on this video alone, this little 10-second clip, 7, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 6 raccoons, and that's on the side of the house. That's not at the pool, but they come up the side of the house and crawl under the fence, or sometimes they climb over the top of the fence, and then they go behind us to the property behind us. But on their way, they make a pit stop in our pool and do their business, and then me and my wife have to clean it and not use it for a significant period of time. So from our perspective, the hardship that was not created by us is that the pool was put in and the cage wasn't put over it at that time. And so if we were to try to put a cage in now, we would not be able to without going to the pool. Thus, we need to ask for the variance. The unique problem to us is the raccoon problem and some of the other issues that I've already set forth for you. In terms of a few other additional points I'd like to make, the 3600 block of San Pedro, we know a lot of the people on that street. I know of 3 other pool enclosures on that block that have requested variances down to 3 feet and have been granted. There are a couple other pools that don't have cages, so I want to make sure I say that as well. And then something I found out today, which I didn't even know had happened, when I went to print out our application to look at it before we came to see you guys today, I saw that our neighbors, Pam and Dave, who live across the street from us, I guess sent in a letter or our note where they essentially said, as neighbors living across the street from us, we wholeheartedly support Eric and Megan's request for a variance regarding their proposed pool enclosure, which would reduce the rear setback from 8 to 3 and side setback from 5 to 3. The raccoon population in the neighborhood has been a problem for years, despite periodically having the animals trapped and relocated. We've lost fish from our backyard pond and fruit from our fruit trees to the raccoons, but I have not had to deal with raccoons defecating in a pool. It makes perfect sense to erect a pool enclosure to keep the raccoons out of the pool for sanitary reasons and also eliminate an attractive site for them to congregate since there is insufficient space to place a pool. Anyway, they basically are supporting us, which I didn't even know they had done, so I probably need to go thank them when we get home tonight. But in any event, that sort of concludes my initial presentation. Actually, I do want to say one other thing. In that same presentation from earlier on VRB 2157, Mr. Pasteur, I believe you asked the applicant about the pavers, and I just thought I'd get out in front of it and address that. Our pool enclosure would actually reduce the pavers. We would have to pick up those 3 feet of pavers on both sides of the pool to put the enclosure in, so it would actually be reduced, not added to in our yard. Honey, anything else? Gotta check with the boss. So with that, I'll I guess cede to comments from the gallery.
Well, if that concludes your presentation, I will ask, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? Seeing none, I will open it up to the board for questions. Does the board have any questions? Okay, no questions. You have 3 minutes for rebuttal should you choose to use it.
I will not choose to use it.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
Well, with that, I will close the public hearing and open it up for motion from the board.
I move the variance request for case VRB 2190, for property located at 4212 West Palmyra Avenue, be granted as depicted on the site.
We're on 3609.
3609 West San Pedro Street. Be granted as depicted on the site plan and presented at the public hearing for construction of a screen enclosure based on the applicant presenting competent substantial evidence in the record of this public hearing of a necessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 2780 of the city code. Specifically that this was an existing pool, they're having significant documented animal issues. The surrounding neighbors are okay with this and support it. There's similar conditions elsewhere in the neighborhood, and that it was not self-created.
All right, motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Decker? All right, we have a motion.
2189, VRB 2189.
Yes. We have a motion, and we have a second by Ms. Decker. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion passes 4-0. Have a good night.
Thank you. You guys have a good night as well.
VRB 2190, Ms. Barnes.
Anastasia Barnes, the next case before you is VRB 2190, for the location of 4212 West Palmyra Avenue. The applicant is Jenna Alvarez, and the zoning is RS. Anastasia Barnes, the next case before you is VRB 2190 for the location at 4212 West Palmyra Avenue. The applicant is Jenna Alvarez, and the property address is, I apologize, the zoning is RS 100, residential single family. The request is to reduce the required distance separation from 10 feet to 3 feet between a principal structure and an accessory structure. Specifically to construct a cabana, and the section of the code is 27291A3. This is the subject property, largely residential in nature. The exterior of the home, or elevation, and the backyard where the proposed cabana will be located. These are elevations provided, as well as the site plan, section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you may have.
All right, is the applicant here?
Yes. AJ Alvarez. I am the owner and resident also of 4212 West Palmyra. I have been sworn.
Awesome. 10 minutes.
Thank you. As noted, myself and my wife Jenna, who is also present in the back, we have 2 young children. One is 1 year old, one is 3. We have a pool in the backyard, and we are trying to construct a cabana, or just a covered structure to allow us to have some shaded areas in the backyard. I understand that we must comply with 2780 and set forth our practical difficulties and unnecessary hardships, which are set forth in the 5 criteria provided in the section. First off, the uniqueness of our situation is that, as I indicated, we have 2 young children. We have nearly no shade, except for a very limited time period during the morning hours in the southeastern corner of our lot. However, given our schedules, we usually would use the backyard during the afternoon hours, and essentially even mid-morning. It is just blazing hot. There's no shade, and we have no covered area to sit. Most of the homes in our neighborhood have a back patio, some of which are screened in, some aren't, but most of them have a back patio area in which to sit. We do not have that. We also have a significant mosquito problem, to the extent that I've had a number of lawn service individuals and tree service individuals come to me and say, we almost couldn't work there in that how bad the mosquitoes were. Given this, it's rendered our backyard essentially unusable. I provided in the submission of exhibits, I believe Exhibit 6 indicates the front northwest side of our lot does have a little bit of shade in the front yard, but given the ages of our children, it is dangerous. We have to be sitting there, essentially one of us would have to sit almost at the end of the driveway to make sure our son doesn't run out into the yard, because the backyard it's unusable. We've tried everything from bug zappers to professional services, which we still have, that come out and service our property, and it's unbearable. So therefore, the uniqueness of our situation is both the lack of sun protection and heat protection, as well as the mosquito issues. Also, neither the lack of shade and lack of heat protection nor the mosquito issue is something that we can control. As I just mentioned, we've done everything we could to remedy the mosquito situation, and we're trying to remedy the shade and heat situation by constructing an outdoor area that we can all enjoy and sit under and congregate. My daughter is 1. We have about a 6-foot in diameter pack and play, which when we are outside, we allow her to play in there with some toys. However, again, once it's in the summertime, we can't do it, and therefore we can't enjoy the whole family outside. There's no interference with any of the others. We are seeking to reduce the distance, not to go closer to anyone else's property, but to come closer to our own house. We have spoken to any of the neighbors that have inquired about what we're trying to do. I've given them walkthroughs, and everyone has resoundingly agreed with the proposal. In regards to the general intent of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, as set forth in Section 27-2, it would promote public health by reducing mosquito-borne illnesses and also allowing for outdoor visitations with families and friends, which we could do, the necessity being that it would reduce transmission of obviously COVID-19. It would promote safety by allowing our children to play outdoors while enjoying the protection of some sun and the overall heat by playing underneath the covered structure. It would also promote safety by allowing our children to play in the backyard without the danger of running out into the street with vehicles that frequently come through our street as they use it as a cut through between Dale Mabry or Lois, as well as Manhattan and West Shore. And our street is a straight shot, and there's no speed tables there to reduce the speed. We frequently have to deal with vehicles that just come speeding right through there. It would promote convenience as it would allow us to utilize our backyard and pool more frequently, especially during the summer. And it would also promote a more favorable environment for rearing children, as it would allow us to enjoy the outdoors as a family, have outdoor dining experiences, and just be together. Finally, the substantial justice being done, it would be our contention that this will not have any impact on any of the neighbors or the surrounding properties or the public in general, as we are just trying to come closer to our own home. Whereas on the flip side, by you all granting our variance request, it would allow us to have a covered structure large enough for the whole family to enjoy, for us to have a sitting area, as well as to have my daughter's pack and play underneath a covered area, thus allowing the entire family to enjoy the backyard. And finally, given the fact that there is no impact on the public in general or any of the neighbors, I would put forth that it would be substantial justice being done by allowing us to enjoy the backyard and pool area. So that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? All right, seeing none, does the board have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Pastor?
So you screening the pool?
We're not screening the pool. We have, I actually consulted with one of the individuals that's helping us with the project this weekend, and he has suggested having outdoor curtains on the open areas of the proposed structure to further. We also are planning on putting fans underneath there, which frankly, that's the only thing that kind of remedies the situation, is if you have a fan right on top of you. But again, we can't have fans for all four of us, especially with the children running around. So we are not planning on a screen, but we are planning on putting outdoor curtains so that we can close them and with the fans, hopefully alleviate the mosquito situation.
Okay, just seems odd that, you know, the crux of the issue is an extreme mosquito situation. You're gonna build a pool, right, with no screen, and then, you know, come back here in a couple years and ask for a screen, was my guess. So not that we can do anything about that tonight. I'm just saying it seems odd not to build one.
If I will,
That's fine. You don't have to respond. I'm just like contemplating to myself, I guess.
Ms. Long, did you have a question?
What was the reason for building such a large gazebo, or whatever you want to call it, pergola?
the issue is that we have my daughter. We either have to carry her, she's still not walking, or we have a pack and play, or a play pen that is 6 feet in diameter. So essentially, that's going to take up a large part of the area. We also wanted it to be, when they're older, we'd like to be able to have both a table so that we can enjoy outdoor dinners, as well as a sitting area to sit there and watch TV. So that's what the basis of why we went so wide. We also can't extend it any further to the west because of the fact that our pool is right there, and so we have gone as far as we can. I believe we're at 5.6 feet from the water's edge, so therefore we can't extend it any further in that direction. We can't extend it any further. We're not trying to encroach on anyone else's property lines, and so therefore the only place that we can extend it is closer to the house.
So instead of 6 feet or 24, 23 feet,
Excuse me, Commissioner Long, Kamaria Pettis-Mackle from the City Attorney's Office. Can you turn your mic on? It's
Yeah.
off. Thank you.
Sorry. If instead of 26 feet, you made it 24 feet, or 23 or 24 feet, which would still be very large, you wouldn't need the side variance. You would only need the variance from the house.
That's the only variance we're seeking.
Pardon?
We're not seeking a side variance. We're only seeking, the only variance we are seeking is to come closer to our house.
You've asked for a, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong one.
Yeah, it's only a separation.
It's only the separation,
It's only a
okay.
separation
Never mind, I'll shut up.
issue.
I'm sorry. I was reading the wrong one.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant?
If so conditioned, would you be amenable to a condition that this never be enclosed in the future?
I would be certainly amenable to that. Again, I was just going to address your previous inquiry in that for us, we're just aesthetically, we don't like the look of the cage and the entire screened-in area. We do want somewhere to go to if it is getting annoying, if it is almost late in the afternoon and the mosquitoes are getting a little bit too much, we can close the curtains and sit there and enjoy a meal, watch TV or what have you. So frankly, we don't want to screen it in, and this is what we're trying to do in order to get around that. And again, hopefully with the fans, with curtains, we wouldn't need to ever screen it in because that's not what we want to do. Obviously, if we just wanted to screen it in, I would have just come here asking to screen it in, but we're trying to avoid that. For the look, I don't think that's really what we're going for.
All right, if there are no other questions, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
One moment. No need for rebuttal.
Okay, all right, then I will close the public hearing and open it up for a motion from the board, or if necessary, discussion. Anyone have a motion? Mr. Pastor?
I suppose I'll do them all. The middle section of our agenda.
Very passive aggressive of you, but thank you,
I thought
appreciate
it was
that.
very outwardly aggressive. I move that variance request for case VRB 2190, again, for the property located at 4212 West Palmyra Avenue, as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing, for reduction and separation of buildings from 10 feet to 3 feet with encroachment for using gutters, with the following condition: that it never be enclosed, that said variance as conditioned be granted based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of necessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 2780 of the city code, specifically that there are practical issues with the enjoyment of the property due to lack of shade and presence of bugs, and that they are maintaining the side and rear yard setbacks, which would most encroach upon their neighbors, and instead taking the encroachment internal to the property so as not to affect the neighbors.
All right.
Second.
Second by Ms. Decker. All right, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay? All right. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you all for your time.
Good evening, Anastasia Barnes. The next case before you is VRB 2192. The property address is 3005 West San Miguel Street. The zoning is RS50, residential single family. And the request is to reduce the front yard setback from 20 feet to 9 feet 2 inches, reduce the side east yard setback from 7 feet to 6 feet, reduce the side yard west setback from 7 feet to 3 feet, and reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 17 feet. This is the aerial of the subject property, mostly residential and some commercial surrounding zoning. This is a picture of the subject site. And this is the site plan provided by the applicant. Section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you might have.
All right, sir, are you the applicant?
Yes, good.
All right, if
Yeah,
you
good
would
evening.
please
Yeah,
state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Gregory Burns. I'm the owner and applicant of the 3005 West San Miguel Street, Tampa, Florida, 33629, and I have been previously sworn in.
Good, you have 10 minutes.
Thank you. We applied for this variance to make basically enhancements to our single-family residence. This home was built in 1951. We bought this home in 2015. As such, we basically inherited a hardship in which this house did not conform to today's standard or code for the city of Tampa's setbacks. Thus, we want to make enhancements to this home to conform to today's standards and codes of the setbacks for the city of Tampa, as well as making additions to the home of a larger master bedroom, as well as a little bit larger master bathroom, a side room for an office, as well as an addition of a half bathroom towards the back, and a wider porch in the front, because right now we don't have any porch really in the front. And really, with these enhancements, we're trying to, like I've said, conform to today's code, but also to create a nicer home for my growing family. I have a 4.5-year-old son, and perhaps we would like to have another child in the near future. With these enhancements, like I said, we are improving the house. We're not trying to make it any worse, and we would maintain the architectural acumen or texture of the surrounding neighborhood. There in Palmacia, and we are not encroaching on any property lines whatsoever of our neighbors. In fact, I've heard from several surrounding neighbors that are in support of this variance, and we are also making sure that we're not cutting down any trees for this as well, because in the back where most of the addition is going to be is an existing porch that we have, and we're just replacing that. And that is the end of my presentation, sir.
Okay. Well, that concludes your presentation. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, does the board have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Pastor.
Could you explain the colors on the plan?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the addition itself are really the pink, as you can see there, as well as the yellow. Everything else, of course, is the existing structure. It was built in 1951, and it's a 1950 square foot house at this time, one level. So the addition there you see in towards the front, or in the northern section right there, where the yellow and pink are, this is where an existing porch is, our back porch. So we're just we want to remove that porch and put that addition there. We are, there you see on the right of the square, pink is our master bedroom. Right next to it is going to be the master bathroom for an extension. But the yellow itself on the top there is a kind of a smaller enclosed porch there in the back. And then, of course, on the very bottom part is the widening of the front porch. And of course, on the left-hand side, pink is the addition of a smaller office. My wife and I both work from home, and we would like to have an extension of that side of the house for an office, as well as a half bathroom there.
Okay, so the rectangles in red are
Yes.
very helpful. The internal rectangle appears to be what the city setbacks are.
Correct.
And the external rectangle is what you're requesting.
Correct.
So it looks like, and this is a subjective opinion, that the majority of the overage is at the front of the house, which is already built over that setback line, presumably from 1951.
Right. The front is towards the bottom there.
Yeah. And the majority of the remainder of your requests are for stairs, yes?
No, 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 the stairs, it's a one level, so there's not going to be any stairs.
So what is the up? You see the little steps? and it
You
says
talk
up?
about the steps on the, yes, those
Yeah.
are, we have an existing like 3 stairs
Yeah.
going into a side door.
So my point is, you've got 2 stairs on the left there.
Right.
That if they didn't exist, you essentially would be pretty much within the setback. And you've got a rear stair there coming off the deck.
Right.
That if it wasn't there, you'd essentially be in the setback. So what I'm saying is on the side and the rear, essentially the steps are what's requesting the variance, not necessarily the addition other than
Right.
a few inches.
Right, and we're keeping it at 3 feet, or it's going to be less than 3 feet.
And so I'm assuming these steps are required? Like the elevation's just too much?
Correct, because we are built on a slab, we're built on with a slab underneath where you can, crawl, like a crawl space.
Oh, crawl space, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they were, I guess, pretty popular back in the 50s.
And your house is crooked. And then the,
That was another one. We also decided with the conforming of the code and standards, we wanted to, with these enhancements, we can actually make it straighter.
yeah, and then the pool guy's trying to draw that one straight, so it would be crooked to the house.
Right.
That's not for this meeting.
Correct.
Do you have a plan of the existing house?
Plan of the existing house the way it is, yes. Before this was, yeah.
Can we see it? I can see.
Anastasia Barnes, I'm not sure if it was included in the packet. I'll have to look. Give me
Okay.
1 second.
I just don't think it's super critical. We can see the outline of what supposedly is the existing house.
I do know it's part of the city of Tampa, main website.
Okay, don't worry about it. That's fine. I think I've got enough information on that plan with the setbacks.
Can I just get clarification on the 2 entry steps on the side yard and
Correct.
what are their purposes?
Yeah, the ones.
That seems to me like overkill for entries on a side yard.
Sure. The one that's right there, if you can look back at the picture again, the one that's a little bit towards south is already an existing stairs going to a side door that we have on the house right now. So that would be the same type of structure that we have on the house right now. The one that's above it is going into the actual half bathroom. The reason why we have these stairs is because we have like I said, we're built on a crawl space. Our house is built up on in that aspect of it.
Is that your side yard right there that we're looking at on this picture?
That is the backyard.
That's the backyard?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the big
that's the
deck.
side yard?
That's it right there, yeah.
Okay.
That's the existing steps.
So you're maintaining that same wall in this plan, it's just, is that correct? Those stairs are already existing?
They are already existing, yeah. The ones that are above it would be an existing of the addition where the half bathroom is at.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal if you should choose to use it.
Like I said, these are just enhancements. We're improving the house. We're not trying to make it any worse, and I'll yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, I will close the public hearing and open it up for motion from the board.
Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. So there are multiple variance requests on this. If the board is so inclined, you can bifurcate the variance, a motion to address certain variances if the board so chooses, but that is an option since there are multiple variances on this application.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion.
Please do.
I move that the variance request for case VRB 21-92, thank you, for the property located at 3005 West San Miguel Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the front yard setback from 20 feet to 9 feet 2 inches, a reduction in the side yard east setback from 7 feet to 6 feet, a reduction in the side yard setback west from 7 feet to 3 feet, and a reduction in the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 17 feet, with an encroachment for eaves and gutters based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that the hardship or practical difficulty does not specifically result from the actions of the applicant, as the house was constructed at an angle, and in order to expand the house at all would encroach into some of the setbacks that this variance requests. Additionally, the variance, if granted, will not substantially interfere with or injure the health, safety, or welfare of others, as the variances are relatively minimal, and the most intrusive variance is to the front yard setback, which faces a public street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Long. We have a motion to approve by Ms. Decker. We have a second by Ms. Long. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Motion passes 4-1. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Decker, for making the motion.
Anastasia Barnes, the next case before you is VRB 2196. The address is 509 South Armenia Avenue. The agent is Clayton Berkelmeyer, and the request is to reduce the required setback from 5 feet to 0 feet for a freestanding sign. And this is in accordance with section 27289.3 B5D. This is the surrounding, or the subject property with surrounding zoning. Here's a street view of the subject property and location of the proposed sign. Again, a site plan showing existing trees, right-of-way line, and proposed sign, and an elevation of the proposed sign. This is section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you may have.
Mr. Pastor, do you have something?
I have a question. I think that maybe I have some involvement with this building. But I'm not sure.
It's on Armenia. It
Yeah,
it was
South
just
Armenia.
purchased by Harrod Healthcare.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'm not sure if it's a conflict or not. We're just a tenant in the building.
Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. Mr. Pastor, do you know anything personal do you have any knowledge of this project?
Not of this project, no.
Do you have any personal or financial interest in regards to this application, this applicant, or this project?
No, but it's probably better if I recuse to not have any appearance of favoritism, since we are a tenant of the same building. I think it would be better.
Okay. Just for the record, I will provide you with the Form 8B to document that you are going to recuse yourself from this application, that's specifically VRB 2196.
Okay, thank you. Apologies again.
You got to fill out another form. All right. Mr. Brickmeyer, if you would please state your name, your address, and confirm you've been sworn.
Clayton Brickelmeyer, Brick Law Group. It's 4427 West Kennedy. We moved a couple weeks ago. I had to write it down. And I have been sworn.
Great. You have 10 minutes.
I don't think I need much of any of it because Ms. Barnes pretty much took care of my presentation for me. The variance criteria, my answers to the hardship questions are in the materials already. I'll just skip to the hardship. very similar to your previous medical sign deal, except slightly simpler, I hope. Single sign, we have existing trees that we'd like to keep. They are on their way to being significant trees. I don't actually know what the DBH is, but they're big trees, and it creates a visibility issue. And the best way to solve that visibility issue is to move the single monument sign forward. I go back. The relevant code section would give us a 10-foot high sign. We actually, in order to keep it under the canopy of those trees, it's going to be something in the order of that person standing there looks, I think they're supposed to be 6 feet. There's also a current, you can see it, and it actually probably tipped off Mr. Pastor. TGH Rehab has a sign that you can see in that looking down the road picture. And there's actually another one further north that are non-conforming signs. Again, as I said a second ago, my client purchased this property and is kind of in a general cleanup mode. They're going to get the signage. The non-conforming signs are going to come out. All the tenants that are on the non-conforming signs are going to be moved to this one conforming monument sign, conforming except for this variance request. But the request would be to move it forward so that you can see the sign. I would say that there's an additional element here, which is this is a medical office building. We do have emergency vehicles that come and go. It is sort of a heightened importance that you be able to see what the address is. Right now, the address you can't see because it's right there. It'd be very easy to pass that if you were driving an ambulance and you weren't 100% sure where you were going. That is my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Okay, if that concludes your presentation, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? Seeing none, does the board have any questions?
I have a quick question. That area that you showed with the hedge in front, is that the location you wanted that sign? Is that correct?
Yes, it's if you look at, actually, it's probably more helpful, this one. That yellow piece is sort of an approximate location between the two trees. We also had some comments from Natural Resources about, because I can't tell you the exact DBH, my guess is we probably are going to need to maintain a 10-foot radius from those things. Those are the two widest trees apart on that stretch, and we're pretty much going to end up centering that sign between those two trees in order to make sure that the whole point of this is to keep the trees, so we wouldn't want to build a sign and damage the roots.
Yeah, I guess I was wondering if it was a requirement to screen the parking there. Was that a previous requirement?
So it's funny, I actually asked my client about what they were going to do with that hedge. So the hedge is coming out. They're unhappy with the maintenance of the hedge, but the hedge is going to be replaced. So this parking will be screened. I actually would defer to city staff on what, I actually don't know the screening requirement, but it is going to be screened. They're just going to screen behind the sign so that you can actually see what the building is. But they are going to cover up that parking with an opaque green something, another hedge. I mean, but it's going to be maintained as opposed to the one that's there now.
I'm wondering if the hedge will even block the view of the sign coming down
It won't.
the
It'll
street.
be behind. The sign's going to be, it'll be sign 2 feet, sidewalk, 2-foot curb, road. And the hedge will be behind that sign to the west. The hedge will be closer to the building.
Okay, those look like
Right now, the hedge
spaces
is
to me.
all the way up. If you look down that side view, the hedge is actually probably right on the right-of-way line. That hedge is going to move back toward the structured parking, which is it called out here? It's probably 10 feet or 15 feet
Okay,
or
I
so.
think the plan had the hatch, which I was kind of unsure what the line work was, so thank you for clarifying that.
No, you're good.
So I have a quick question for you. You mentioned some of those other non-conforming signs, including the TGH sign. Did you say that those were coming out?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole point of this is to clean up this entire road frontage. There's an uglier one to the north, and they're both tenants. And those tenants, I imagine the tenants are not going to be thrilled, but they're going to get their designated space on the new monument sign that's going to look a whole lot nicer.
Okay. So you're basically consolidating other signage
to that one monument sign.
into one monument sign.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal should you need it.
I will waive my rebuttal.
With that, I will close the public hearing and open it up. Do we have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Long, fire away.
Okay. I move that the variance request for case VRB 2196 for the property located at 509 South Armenia Avenue be granted as depicted in the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the required setback from 5 to 0 for a freestanding sign, section 27289.3 sub B sub 5 D. Based upon applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 2780 of the city code, specifically that this building as it currently is has several signs that no longer meet A, the visual requirement, and B, the code. Those would be consolidated into one sign in the front in order to clean up the area there. The location of the other signs is such that they can no longer be seen, and therefore, and they came when they acquired the building, that's where they were, and so it makes it impossible for the signs to have any value. Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Long, second by Ms. Decker. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? No? All right, motion passes 4-0. Have a good night. Mr. Pastor, come on back in. All right, Ms. Barnes, whenever you're ready. '99, I think.
Anastasia Barnes, the next case before you is VRB 2199. The applicant is Jeffrey Lackey. The zoning is RS60 and the address is 4840 West Flamingo Road. The request is to reduce the rear yard setback from 5 feet to 3 feet to construct a screen pool enclosure under 15 feet in height in accordance with section 27290.5. This is a aerial of the subject property.
Oh, I'm sorry.
An aerial of the subject property, as you can see, residential in nature. These are several pictures that the applicant provided showing the backyard. This is the site plan submitted by the applicant. And again, section 2780, application of the variance power, and staff is available for any questions you might have.
Great. If you would please, name, address, and confirm you've been sworn.
My name is Jeff Lackey, 4840 West Flamingo Road, Tampa, Florida 33611, and I have been sworn in.
All right, you have 10 minutes.
I've been a resident of the city of Tampa since August 2002 when I was attending the University of Tampa. Through college and now adulthood, I've called Tampa my home for nearly 20 years. Tampa is where my wife and I have decided to raise our 2 children, twins, who just turned 1 this week. Our objective of this variance request is to provide our children a safe and manageable area for them to swim in our pool without the threat of disease-carrying insects, snakes, raccoons, possums, and other wildlife. In addition to increasing safety from external factors, the variance request will also allow a safer pathway around the pool for proper egress, as well as providing adequate room to perform routine cleaning and maintenance. Finally, this variance request will enable us to provide increased safety from protection of accidental drowning in the event someone were to fall from the pool deck into the canal. We are requesting the setback for the rear lot line be reduced from 5 feet to 3 feet. This additional 2 feet will allow for a safer pathway around the pool, increasing the rear egress width from 1.5 feet to 3.5 feet. Without this increase in width, it would pose a safety hazard walking around such a narrow pathway, as well as preventing easy access to performing cleaning and routine maintenance. Hardships. Due to the uniquely small footprint of the backyard area due to the canal and seawall, there is not enough space to install a pool cage to comply with the current screen enclosure setback rules. The current setback rules create a hardship to be able to safely maneuver around the pool area for proper egress and a lack of space to perform routine service and maintenance on the pool and its equipment. The variance, if granted, will not substantially interfere with or injure the health, safety, or welfare of others whose property would be affected by this allowance. If granted, the pool enclosure will protect my family internally as well as protect my neighbors externally. This will create a barrier to the pool to prevent neighborhood children or unsupervised people from entering the pool area, potentially drowning. This variance is in harmony with and serves the general intent of the purpose of this chapter and the adopted Tampa Comprehensive Plan. The variance request and its intent is to increase safety as well as provide adequate means to maintain and properly service the pool area. Allowing this variance will result in substantial justice being done, considering both the public benefit intended to be secured by this chapter and in the individual hardship or practical difficulties that will be suffered due to a failure of the board to grant the variance. Allowing this variance will result in justice as it will increase the safety of my family and neighbors, as well as reducing the hardship in safety maneuvering around the pool and to properly service the pool area and its equipment. And just to kind of tack on to the previous pool enclosure, if I could switch to dock cam. Here we are. Let's see if this will play appropriately. I have a video of my security camera, which you can see in a couple of seconds. A raccoon which frequents my backyard as well, and knowing the issue, of course that's just a bug. All right, so here we go. All right, sorry about that. So here we are. Yep, the light will come on in just a second when my camera sees the raccoon. So there he is running across the seawall. Only one this time. My record was 4, unlike the other gentleman's 6, which was pretty impressive. But frequently possums, raccoons, they're in the neighborhood, you know, they're part of our community, and you know, I don't wish to remove them. I just wish to live in harmony with them, so that way I can maintain safety for myself and my family. So that concludes my presentation.
Wonderful. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? All right, come on up. State your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn. And each of you will have 3 minutes.
Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. Just before the public comes up, this is the proposed site plan that was submitted by the applicant, correct?
Anastasia Barnes, yes. It's my understanding, so in the video, there was no pool shown. It's my understanding that, has the pool been constructed or is under construction?
It's under construction.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kay Hubbard, and I own property at 4834 West Flamingo. And thank you for the opportunity to speak at this opposition to the variance sought by Mr. Lackey, residing at 4840 Flamingo. His property sits just west of my property. He's actually toward the open bay, so we look down the canal to his property. If granted, the variance he is seeking would allow him to put a caged pool 3 feet from the seawall, which would entirely block the view of all the residents to the west of him, looking out the bay. As equally concerning is the fact that this would forever change the nature and aesthetics of the canal. It's a beautiful canal, and there's no caged pools currently on that canal. Nothing like this exists on Flamingo Canal. As a matter of fact, all the waterfront homes are west of West Shore. There are only a handful of screen enclosures on the waters or on the canals. Our family's lived here for over 50 years. We purchased Flamingo back in 2005. We actually are going to construct on this property at a later date. And we've seen changes, good and bad changes all along this property. But we are looking for the preservation of the unique history of this canal, the aesthetics, the natural and open environment, and the sense of community is paramount to those of us who have chosen to purchase homes on the water. I've brought with me today a letter signed by neighbors and residents that reside on Flamingo in opposition to the proposed variance. Thank you for your time and diligent consideration of this matter.
Okay, if you have a letter to submit, you'll give it to staff.
I have that, if I can approach before my presentation.
Well, sure, if you can just give it to staff, they'll take care of it from there. And then don't forget to state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn, please.
Good evening. My name is Julia Mandel. I'm with the law firm of Gray Robinson, 401 East Jackson Street, and I'm here representing several of the concerned neighbors on the Flamingo Canal. And while I do appreciate the position that has been raised by the applicant and the property owner, this is a little bit of a different situation than one you heard about earlier today. First of all, as noted by Ms. Hutchinson, by Kay, there are no other screened pools on the Flamingo Canal. In fact, I actually spent some time on the Google Maps. There are really very few in the entire West Shore waterfront area. It's not the norm. Very different than some of the other conversations you heard earlier. This is not the norm to even have cage pools. That being said, what's also a different situation than what you heard previously, this pool hasn't even been completed. It was applied for by this property owner. He and his family could have made a decision to ensure that the pool they were requesting would have been in line with the code if they wanted to enclose it. That unfortunately did not occur. While I appreciate what he has said about the raccoons in the area, that's not unique to this property, also noted by what we've heard previously. That is a problem all over Florida, all over Tampa. I've got raccoons in my yard on a regular basis. I think really what's important here is variances are intended to deal with unique hardships. Those unique hardships have to go and run with the property that is being involved in the application. In this instance, what has been alleged is not a unique hardship. In fact, it is the epitome of a self-created hardship. You have a property owner, they purchased property, they knew what the guidelines were, they knew what they would have to do. They went ahead and sought to permit their pool, which they had every right to do, and it was in line with the code. They've come back now and want a screen enclosure, but unfortunately, the screen enclosure that they want to have cannot be accommodated under the code as it exists today. And that is something that was caused by their actions, not by the actions of the property, not by the actions of the area, not by any other unique circumstances in the surrounding area. In addition, as noted in the evidence in the record, this is not in harmony with this neighborhood. This particular neighborhood, this canal, and the areas surrounding it, screened-in enclosures are just not the norm. I have additional pictures of Flamingo Canal that I can show you. You kind of you see part of it there. But let me go ahead and just put on what used to be the Elmo. I don't know what they call it anymore.
Hold on. We'll put your first one up because they didn't see that one yet.
Okay. This is the mouth of the Flamingo Canal. There are several pools. None are enclosed. And this is going way back to the edge. There's no screen enclosures at all up into that area. And so, again, we go back to you have to look at each variance request based upon the hardship which is alleged, and how it has an impact on the neighborhood as a whole. And both in this situation, you don't have a unique hardship that runs with this property. You have something that, in fact, was self-created because the pool did not exist. It doesn't exist completely today. It's under construction, and the code could have been accommodated. In addition, it does have an impact. You've heard testimony that it will create an effect on the view corridor down the canal. In addition, you're just not seeing this being the norm. Having any kind of screen enclosures, now certainly they have the right to have a screen enclosure that meets the code, but even that isn't the norm, so you don't have a situation where you have property after property after property that has put their screen enclosures into the setback up against the water. And as I've said, and this is just from my view of it, I looked on Google Maps and I saw maybe 7 in the Sunset Park area and in this area that had even screen enclosures, none of which seemed to be encroaching into the setback. I understand, that this property owner, this gentleman, would like to have a safe space for his family. That is totally a reasonable thing to want, but you have to look at this in the context of the whole, what this could have the impact on the neighborhood, on this canal, and any precedent that it could potentially set and change the nature and the character of this area. I thank you for your time. We do request that you deny this variance, and I am available for questions.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak about this application? All right.
Before she walks away, are you able to tell us the properties that you're speaking for? The addresses, I mean?
They're within the letter, I'm sorry.
Do you have the letter? They passed that up there?
Oh, it's in this letter here?
We have it.
Yeah, in the
Okay,
letter.
that's fine. Thank you.
And if I could note that the letter contains not just we don't want it, it contains factual information relating to what the character of the neighborhood is, which I think is appropriate and important as it relates to a determination of whether the hardship, the variance criteria are met. Thank you.
Do we have that letter?
You want to put it on the
Yeah, that might be a way to do it. There you go. Good job.
and then what's on this page? Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. This explains the first page, but can you scroll it down just a little bit? And I guess the second page explains all the property addresses.
There you go. Slide it up a little bit
Push it up, let's see.
so we can see the addresses. Keep going, and stop. Good, thank you.
Four of those are from the same address, 2 and 2.
Okay, if there's no one else to speak about this application, I will open it up for board questions, either for the applicant, for staff, or for any of the speakers. Mr. Pastor.
If this pool is under construction, why was this not included?
So at the advisement of our pool contractor, a pool that is narrower than 10 feet also increases the risk of other safety issues falling into it, hitting the other side. So you're kind of trading one safety issue for the other. That's why we had done it. The minimum that they had recommended for safety reasons was 10 feet, and that's what we are putting in.
Yeah, but why wasn't the screen included in the pool permit?
Originally, when we pulled the permit, that wasn't within our budget, and since our permitting took a little bit longer, we were able to get the budget needed to have the pool enclosure included into the pool project.
Okay. But you didn't plan for a screen when you did the pool?
Originally, that was part of it, so we wanted to be able to get the pool done, and then at a later time when we could afford to do so, add the screen enclosure later.
Right, but the pool you're building does not allow for a compliant screen. So what I'm saying is you didn't plan for a pool enclosure because what you're building doesn't allow for a pool enclosure.
I was just completed the application upon the guidance of our pool contractor based off of the lot size and what we had requested.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal to address anything that we've talked about or anything that any of the folks opposing.
Correct. Okay. First, I would like to present.
It's already.
All right. A letter of support from my immediate neighbor. So my neighbor that is adjacent to me, right next door, a letter of support saying they do not oppose my variance request. So this is the most impacted person right next to me, and they have written a letter of support. To Ms. Hubbard's point, her main point is she didn't want to mess up her view. So here I have a picture from a public website of her backyard, and you can see that it's completely obstructed by trees. She can't even see my property from her property. So if I were to construct a pool cage, she would not be able to see it in the first place. Here is a view from my house down, and her house is beyond that large tree. So the White House gave me the letter of support, and next to that large tree is on her property, so she wouldn't be able to even see my pool cage. And then also, I'm requesting a screen enclosure, not a brick wall. So if anything, it would increase due to the need of, the no longer needing of having an opaque fence, that white fence there, I would be able to remove that. And in actuality, if she were able to see down the canal, it would actually might improve her view. So that would conclude my rebuttal.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. If you have nothing further, I will close the public hearing.
I do have a closing statement.
You have time.
Okay.
By all means, you have another minute and 17 seconds.
All right. So board members, I understand we have competing interests here. Typically we do. I want to be respectful of my opposition's interests and point out that she will not actually be prejudiced at all with his view being obstructed, as it is already being obstructed by a tree on her property. My application of construction is not for a opaque wall, but for a transparent screen enclosure, which can easily be seen through. This will not worsen her shape or after the variance is approved than she is now. In fact, if granted, the existing opaque fence can be removed and would potentially improve her view. We can kind of call it a win-win here. My twins' babies can be safe, and her view will not be diminished. So I'll close it out with, ever since I became a dad, my goal has been to provide for my family and keep them safe, and hopefully by approving this variance, you can help me keep my children safe as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. That concludes your presentation. I will close the public hearing and open it up for a motion from the board, please.
I move the variance request for case VRB 2199 for the property located at 4840 West Flamingo Road for a reduction in the rear yard from 5 feet to 3 feet for the construction of a pool enclosure be denied due to the failure of petitioner to meet the burden of proof to provide competent and substantial evidence in the record of this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 2780 of the city code. Specifically that this was a self-imposed hardship, that the pool that requires the screen is being constructed now, and we heard testimony that a screen was planned for the future, but is not actually allowable in the spot that's being requested now under the current code. We have opposition from neighbors, but also there are no other screens on this canal at all, which means it does not comply with the current nature of the neighborhood.
I'll second it.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Pastor to deny, seconded by Ms. Long. All those in support of the motion to deny, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. All right. Motion is denied 4-1. You have the right to appeal to City Council. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to staff.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I think we're all done. Any other business from city staff? All right.
Not at this time.
Thank you all for your help. Have a good evening.